So just invite folks, if you haven't done so already, to mute yourself so we don't hear your cat and your phone in the background. And that would be super helpful. And it's good to be here. And I just invite you to set anything that's in your hands just down for a moment to make our way into this space. Take your fingers off the keyboard and put your coffee down. Maybe it's morning, maybe it's afternoon, maybe it's evening. I know we have folks from California to Spain on this call right now, so we're stretching many time zones, and that is so good. Um, and we're just gonna take a few breaths as we enter into this beautiful moment. So feel your feet on the ground, feel your body in your chair, maybe you're standing. Open your hands, just let them be free. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and your mouth, filling up your lungs. Feel your body. Appreciate it. Appreciate all it's done for you so far today. The rhythm of our heart and our breathing, our connection to each other and to the world around us. So sacred and so good. And we allow ourselves to arrive fully to this circle of people who love retreat, love bringing people together to be centered and transformed, readying folks to go back into the real world after a few days of work, the work of rest and renewal. And we take these breaths hoping that this moment is a moment of retreat for us. 90 minutes with Robert on sacred self-care. And so just let yourself come back and look around at all of these beautiful bodies, these beautiful people sitting in their offices and their living rooms, and offer eyes of gratitude to each one who have made their way here. I'm Michael, and I'm the network manager for the Retreat Center Collaboration, and I'm delighted to welcome you along with my colleagues, Peter and Pam, who are also both here today on the call. And we're so happy to sit in circle with you today. Many familiar faces and some new folks that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. And it is my honor to introduce to you, no stranger to this circle, Robert Mulhall, who is an amazing, grounded, generous, beautiful human who is going to walk us today through practices of self-care in a time like no other, in a time when the world seems to be spinning, at least for me, a bit out of control, where I'm not sure where I stand or how I should be. And so, Robert, I'm so grateful to you for offering up this time today. And Robert, feel free to say a few more amazing things about yourself as an introduction and then get us started. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. This is an amazing thing about me. I was born in Ireland. That's about the proudest thing I have about myself. But maybe also all you really need to know about me too. It uh, explains the wildness and the. I think Peter said something to these words, but you're impossible to put in a box, Robert. So I attribute that to my Irishness. I know lots of you, but I don't know lots of you too. Why I'm even connected with RCC is because of my previous role as CEO of Kerpalo, and just stepped out of that role, gosh, about 10 weeks ago or something like that. But now still very much connected in with the community and the network, and deep passion to see it continue to thrive, and in that thriving meet the times that we're in. But I got invited to create a little bit of an experience for us together within the broad parameter of care. I don't think this will be too much focused on individual sort of self-care, um, but maybe we'll touch on some aspects of that feel personal, but then also we'll be being in experiences collectively together, which I think is where the greatest leverage for care is in community and in practice together. But Mike was asking me, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I have a plan, but uh, everybody's going to show up in the room and they're maybe going to reconstellate the plan as well. So we're going to just do that a little bit and just see what actually wants to happen. But you're going to inform that by answering. We're going to go through a little sort of 4 questions. So some of you may have heard of this as a process for checking in with yourself, a little self-awareness tool. Call it the nest. I got it from work that I did years ago in men's work. So N is the number of how centered you feel, not how happy you feel, not how good you feel or optimistic. It's just how centered you feel with yourself. 1 to 10, 10 being the most centered, 1 being maybe like an untethered piece of seaweed in an ocean current. Okay. So that's your number. And then E for nest is your emotions. What emotions are present? Emotions and feelings. So they can be, I'm feeling anger and sadness, feeling grief and feeling joy. Could also be anxiety, apprehension, gratitude, etc. They're the emotions. And then S is for sensations in the body, which so often gets forgotten about, even in our centers that teach so much about embodiment. We often forget to literally check in with our body and scan quickly as to what are the sensations in our body. So right now, if I was to go through this nest, my number is an 8 out of 10 of how centered I feel. The emotions I'm experiencing are love and gratitude, a sense of excitement, a sense of heartbreak and deep grief. And the sensations I have, my body actually feels quite tender when I say all of that. I'm noticing some sort of fluttering in my chest, a little bit of tiredness in my eyes, a little tension in my jaw and my left hip. And then T for the nest is thoughts. What thoughts are sort of dominating my mind right now? One thought that's kind of just carried over a little bit from this morning is around a piece of work that I'm doing, a piece of consulting work that I'm potentially doing, and just wondering if the client will be able to get aligned for the work to be successful. I'm also, I've found this morning my mind racing to this evening. I'll be with my son this evening, and I'm already trying to think of how am I going to keep him entertained, which is basically most of my parenting strategy. Just how do I keep him entertained until somebody else is looking after him? And then my thoughts continue to get pulled to the world, many parts of the world, but I think in a very particular way to what's happening in the United States, Turtle Island and Minnesota. So they feel like the dominant thoughts for me. So you may have already started, but just for a few minutes, don't just think about it, actually write it down if you really want to, put it into a computer or something like that, but nest yourself in. Write down your number, write down the emotions, write down the sensations, and write down the thoughts. This is a time to be radically honest. And sometimes when we do these simple exercises, there's a part of us that's like, oh, I know what I am. I don't need to write it down. That's the muscle that we're trying to work. We're trying to build another muscle of actually going through these practices, because the sort of the thought that often dominates of, oh, I know what I am, I don't need to do this, is that thought and that muscle is the thing that takes us away from being in actual care for ourselves. The idea that we already know better. And a great way to break through knowing better is just by doing something different. Okay. I think most people have probably concluded. Who wants to be generous and courageous and come off mute and share your nest with us?
I can be brave if you'd like. Um,
Great.
I would say that I'm around a 5, and I would say that my E is like I feel really confused. I would say I feel pretty angry, and I would say I feel fairly impatient with the world, and I feel disappointed. And I'm also excited that it's the weekend. I feel a lot of this in my stomach. My stomach has felt like this for the last like 48 hours, just like a hard ball, and in my lower back, and my eyes just feel like tired. And I think I got the T right, but it's what's kind of on my mind. Where am I going? I'm going to the weekend. I'm really ready for it. I feel like this week has been a lot. I'm like looking forward to sleeping. I'm thinking about playing pickleball, which is my favorite thing to do with my body. Yeah, and thanks for this practice. And I see that Laura has her hand up, so I'll pass it over if you want another person, Robert.
Yeah. Just before we go there, let's all just take a deep breath in as we receive that, and exhaling. Thank you for your generosity and courage to go first and to share with us. And now I feel like I know how to be with you a little bit in this call, right? Okay, so Michael's holding a 5 right now, and maybe he's got some anger right now. And so if I feel a little bit of sharpness, it's not about me, it's about what he's bringing into this meeting. And so that helps me orient with you, and it also helps me potentially serve you in a different way. Yeah. I used to do this at Karpalo with the senior team and the broader leadership team a lot. So we would all just know to just sort of, oh, like it was a way of locating ourselves. We often locate ourselves through our sort of racialized identity now in these spaces and with our pronouns, etc. But we very rarely locate ourselves in our internal state. But this was a piece that we brought in that felt very helpful. So people wouldn't take it so personally when I was full of rage because of something that had happened in my own life that I was just sitting with. As a passionate Celtic man who is familiar with rage. Lara, do you want to be brave and generous?
Sure. Sorry, I couldn't find the reactions quickly enough, but thank you, Peter, for being first. I appreciate, Robert, what you just shared about the way that we can use this check-in, and especially if we're brave enough to share with our teams so that we can set that foundation for maybe a tough day's work or a difficult meeting, and people know the non things that, the things that are at hand that are coming from the personal side. So thank you for that. N, I feel a 6. I feel not quite as centered as I would love. Emotions present, sadness, I'm grateful, I'm frustrated. Sensations in the body, I'm tired, I'm on the wrong time zone for me right now. Feeling some hip pain from sitting, jaw tightness, shoulder tightness. As Peter shared, also that sort of wrenching in the gut feeling, sensation. Thoughts top of mind are today, the to-do list and not enough time, trying to get back into having been gone on vacation. And then my family, missing them because I left them now. And then this weekend, wanting spaciousness and feeling that pull between needing to catch up from having been gone on vacation, but also needing to have the spaciousness of getting the cycle of the cycle of my life together as I'm re-entering normal life.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's take another deep breath in. Exhaling. Let's have another one. Tatiana.
Um, how centered I feel, I would say a 7. And it's interesting, Laura, as you said, a 6, and you're like, I'm not feeling as centered. And I feel pretty centered for a 7. Just one number difference. And just our own kind of noticing that. Emotions and feelings, I feel excited, sad, tender, and joyful all at the same time. Sensations in my body, fluttering in my solar plexus. That's a regular spot for me. Um, Tightening in biting my muscles, like as I close my eyes, I could feel that. And the thoughts that are dominating my mind. I just got off the call with my niece in Belarus, so thoughts about her. She's almost 3. And then I dropped the car off for my son. So I was like, why do I have all these kids in my list? So then I have him and his future, whatever, it's just the car. A teacher of mine gave us exercise in terms of visual finding our own essence. So that's been on my mind. And then I need to put a contract for a client. So all of those at the same time. And thank you for this exercise, Robert. I really like the grounding into each piece. That's it.
Thank you. Let's take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. So as the next layer to this, again, with your pen and paper, try not to answer this from your mind. Try to literally let your body answer this. That may not make any sense, but your body completely understands what I just said. You listed sensations. We all named and listed sensations. So the question for our bodies is, what do you need? And then just let your body write something down. Okay. Maybe some new voices would like to share. What did your body say? Gloria. Then we'll go to Jen.
Instantly, hi Robert. Instantly, my body said, I need a yoga training with routine yoga, clean food, lots of prayer and puja, community, waking up before sunrise, music in the evening, and walking barefoot under the stars.
Okay, I think we would all like to join you for all of that. That sounds fantastic. Beautiful. Sounds like your body is very clear. Yeah. How about you, Jen?
I said that I need an embrace, something more than just a hug, but a chance to feel held and connected with another person.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. I feel that too. Yeah. Ellen Rose.
Hello. My body needs rest and touch and cuddles and hot water and coziness and cocooning.
Yeah. Thanks, Ellen Rose. One more person, perhaps, on this one. Andy.
Hi, Robert. Hi, everyone. I wrote down nature, space, calm, de-escalation, and love.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. Okay, beautiful. So just two simple ways that we can sort of drop in and slow down a little bit and tune in with ourselves. Again, the nest in particular, I think can be used in absolutely any situation with absolutely anybody, regardless of how into spiritual retreat center work they are or not. Everybody knows how to answer a question about how centered they feel. Often they'll be able to at least tolerate the question around their emotions. They may not be able to name them, but they might say nothing. And you can say, okay, well, maybe we'll put down nothing. I feel nothing. People can definitely tune into their body at some level, even if it's just the temperature of their toes. And definitely people can answer what are the dominant thoughts in their mind. But it can, again, just be a really great way for ourselves. I do this often with myself, sort of as almost as a daily exercise, and sometimes during the day, especially when I feel stretched or on the edge of overwhelm. It's just like, okay, nest in. And then that second question of what does my body need? And are any of those things available to me in this moment in my close vicinity? Sometimes a deep embrace is not always accessible, but my son has been incorporated into, hey, buddy, he's 8. I'm like, Elijah, you don't know why, but I need you to hug me. We're going to start a timer, and it's got to be a 3-minute hug. And I promise you I'll make you dinner afterwards. And he's like, he gets the mission. He does it. Not necessarily willingly. Apparently my beard tickles him and all that kind of stuff, but he's in and he will show up for that. But often with all of these things, that third step is, where can I get the help and support to honor these needs that my body is so clearly communicating to me? And is it through myself or through my people and my kin? But this whole thing of support, I think, in these times is massive. And as we all know, in our roles, sometimes we can turn to the humans in our life for support. But sometimes the humans are the ones that are causing us all of the stress, and they're not the ones that we can turn to. Or legally, we can't even turn to them, right? We can't talk to them about everything, depending on our position in the organization. or you just know that they're completely overwhelmed as well. And you're like, I can't go to them right now. I really don't feel like they actually have the resourcing to support me. And so there are other places that we can go. And often as humans, we go, well, that's it. It's like, if I can't go to the humans, that's it. It's just kind of me and the world. And it starts to feel very alone and isolated. But all of our ancestors knew that the more than human world, specifically in the rest of nature, the trees and the animal world, was very accessible to us. So I'm sure there's lots of people on this call that know when they go out to nature, they feel a sense of resourcing in some way. They feel maybe a slowing down and a deeper sense of health and connection. But nature is not always available because maybe we're in a big urban setting and there isn't an abundance of it, or we're up on a high rise and you just can't get down to the park near you, or like where Michael is, where it was minus 31 degrees last night, and looking at nature from from your sleeping bag is great, but going out into it is not recommended for health. And so I want to go on a little guided journey with you all, which is about connecting to resources that are always available to us, regardless of the geography, the situation, the environment that we're in, that we can always actually drop into this in a surprisingly quick and simple way, even though this journey will be a little bit more of an elongated experience for us. So if you're willing, for the next sort of 15 minutes, I'm going to guide you on a closed eye guided sort of meditation journey. And the idea is to connect with resourcing that's beyond what we can sort of see and feel in this moment. Before I do that, I'm going to talk, I've already used the words of ancestry. I'm going to continue to talk about ancestry in this guided journey. And for some people, we can get really fixated on the idea of ancestors being human and ancestors being of our blood lineage. And in Ireland, we talk about our blood lineage and we talk about our milk lineage. And our milk lineage is the lines that we adopt. And our blood lineage is the ones that we're born into. But our ancestors, again, in the Irish tradition, are not limited to the ones in human form. Our ancestors is open to all beings in form and outside of form. So as we do this guided journey, that's how I'm encouraging everybody to hold the idea of ancestors, is that it's not about humans. It's not even about anybody you know. It's just about connecting with community that is beyond yourself and necessarily beyond what you're typically used to connecting with. Okay? So if at any point you're like, I'm not finding this very specific ancestor, you're in the wrong conversation. Just soften, open up, and see what happens. All right? Okay. So it's great if our minds or our bodies can be just still for the next 15 minutes. Obviously, if there's something that needs to be scratched, scratch it, but otherwise just be in this kind of container of stillness, which will help facilitate a little bit of stillness of the mind. And eyes closed, if that's available to you, and it feels good, that's really helpful in these practices. Even if you're somewhere public and somebody else can see you in a co-working space, they're never going to ask you why you had your eyes closed, so you can just do it. Yeah. So feeling into this present moment, just noticing your breath, noticing it coming and going. And allowing that breath to just create a bit of softening in your whole being. Maybe it's breathing into our jaw, or breathing into our solar plexus, into our belly. And part of this guided journey will be about imagination. So as I describe things, it doesn't matter if you can see them directly. Just imagine that they're present. What you're directly experiencing is exactly what you're supposed to experience. And we start our journey off walking under the light of the full moon. And we're walking across a meadow. The path is in front of you and it's clearly illuminated. You have a sense that you've been here before. So it feels good and familiar to you to be walking on this path through this meadow, illuminated by the silver glow of the moon. And as you're walking for a while, you just have a gentle appreciation for this moment, this respite and refuge. That you've put down the world. And all that's happening is you're walking under the moon through this beautiful meadow. And after a while, you come to a stream. It has a little bit of width to it, so you can't just easily jump over the stream. And you look around and you see that there's about 5 or 6 stones that you think you can step across and navigate to the other side. So with great ease, you find yourself stepping across and you reach the other side of the stream. Now, clearly on the other side, you continue to walk forward. And the path starts to find an incline. And you see that it's lifting you up out of the meadow along the side of a mountain. And the path has got those switchbacks. And with each turn, you're inclining more, leaving the valley floor below you. And after a little bit more time of walking, the path leads you into an entrance in the side of the mountain, the entrance of a cave. And again, this feels familiar, so you walk inside. And as you walk in, the light dims from the moon. And you continue to take some more steps, and as the light behind you fades, you start to see a soft amber glow in front of you. You walk towards this light, and the cave actually bends around a corner. And as you reach that corner, you step around and you see this beautifully lit fire waiting for you. And there's some logs waiting around the fire. So you sit down at one. And you remember that you brought a gift for the fire. And you reach into your right pocket. And you take the gift out of the fire and you offer it into the fire as thanks. Thanking her for her presence and her warmth. And sitting in front of the fire, you find yourself putting your hand on your heart. And for a moment or two, you tell the fire some of the challenges that you're holding. You tell her some of your fears, some of your grief. And for a moment, do that now. And after you've shared and been witnessed by the fire, you allow yourself to take a deep breath. And then quietly you invite in any presence of being that is here to support you. This sense of presence may arrive with a very particular form. It may be familiar or unfamiliar. It may have no form at all. But trust that with you now at this fire, there is a presence of being that is here to support you. You do not need to introduce yourself because there's an instant remembering of each other. So you sit for a little while in the company of this presence and in the company of the fire. And after a while, you feel like you have permission to ask a question. And so you ask this presence of being a simple question. What guidance do you have for me now? What guidance do you have for me now? Perhaps you'll hear something, or feel or sense something. And perhaps you'll hear silence. Whatever you receive, you can trust. When you know your time is starting to close, this presence of being assures you that you can always come to this fire and to bring your questions, and to find support. And before you depart, this presence of being leaves you with a small gift in your hand, some medicine that will support you in the weeks to come. Make sure you see clearly what it is before you leave the fire. And you thank the presence of being for being here and taking the gift of the guidance and whatever was placed in your hand. You say thank you to the fire, and you start to leave the depths of the cave, following the growing light of the moon to the exit point. And you start to walk down the path, switching back and forth as you descend down into the meadow, finding yourself walking back across the meadow, softly lit by the silver of the moon. You come to the river, and you step back across the stones, back across to the other side. You continue walking across the meadow. And then you take one final look behind you. And as you turn behind you, you find yourself sitting here where you are right now on this Friday in January 2026. Feeling all of your being and your body here with you, just yours and nothing else's. You've only returned with the guidance and the small token of gift. And everything else is left behind. And you receive a deep breath into your belly, and exhaling fully. Just slowly moving your body, your toes and your fingers allowing your whole body and being to land completely and fully here again. And when your body feels ready, it can open its eyes. And just allowing yourself to find some pen and paper. If you want to capture anything that feels important, so that your mind can relax and not worry about forgetting. Okay, beautiful. Wondering if anybody feels called to share any aspect of their journey. Perhaps it's about the guidance or the gift that they received, or the fact that they received no guidance and no gift. That's perfect and beautiful too. This is definitely not a competition about who had the best experience. Gail.
Hi. First of all, I loved it because it was perfect timing for me. Took a few notes on the journey. I'm thankful that you're recording this, so I get to listen to it again. Sage and tea. Those are my gifts. And I know exactly what they're for.
Sage and tea, and you know exactly what they're for.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel best to keep that to yourself, or do you want to share exactly what they're for? We missed that, Gail.
Right now, I have to keep it to myself.
Beautiful.
Sorry.
That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you for honoring that. We love your no. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else?
May I share? I can't find the raised hand.
Hey, Cara.
In this, when I took this job, I left behind my community. I've been here about 6 months. And around the fire, my 3 My three best friends, my companions in my journey, were around the fire. And the flame was alive with the holy, and I said, I need friends. And the Holy One said, wait, they're coming. And as I didn't get a gift, but when I got to the mouth of the cave, I realized I was walking with a prayer shawl around me. Wait is my word for the year, and it just keeps coming up. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing with us. Yeah, I feel like you can trust that very deeply. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go into little breakout groups for a while, and it's just really create a little bit more intimacy for people to share anything from their experiences or from their nest. It's not to have a lot of don't go too much into the meaning making of it all, just sharing in the experience of it, because the meaning making will continue to happen in the mystery of it all. And if you notice that you are starting to feel a little bit like you're psychoanalyzing anybody in your little group, just leave that to Dr. Phil and Primetime TV, and just be there as a beautiful, loving friend. So Pam is going to help us out. I think we're going to go in. Let's go in for about 12 minutes, if that works, give or take. And we'll just go into groups of 4, and then we'll pop back in all together to kind of wrap us up. Pam, all the groups back? Yeah, great. Hey, beautiful humans. We got to share and be witnessed and witness in the small groups, but sometimes it's powerful in the big group too, the bigger group. You might find yourself just kind of saying the same thing again, but that can have a powerful alchemizing effect on the field, the broader field. So just want to invite in 1 or 2 voices just to share their experience.
I could go for a moment, although I missed the beginning of your sentence, so maybe I could be misinterpreting something, but our group realized we just needed to play for a while and have some playfulness.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. And were you able to do the guided journey?
I don't know that we did that. We didn't really know in our group what we were a little lost, but we had fun.
Sure. Great. And don't worry about the group for a moment, but just you personally, were you able to do the guided journey before we went into the breakout groups?
Yes.
And what was that experience like for you?
Just I don't know. I kind of rather keep it to myself. Like I enjoyed it, but I feel like it's just a personal experience that I would rather not share.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
great. No need to be sorry for that. You never have to say sorry for your no. It's as beautiful as your yes.
Well, I appreciate the invite, but I'm gonna kind of just not go there right now.
Yeah, great. How about somebody else?
I can share.
Yeah.
I was feeling very a lot of tears were flowing the whole time, most of the time. And to hear Robert talk about being wild and angry in such a playful and casual way, it was like a revelation that that could happen and be okay. And so the guardians that I experienced around the fire were this wildness that has been with me my whole life, and this like suppressed anger that keeps flaring up on occasion, and seeing how those are guardians and can be guardians. And they were sharing that it's okay to feel that. And I was feeling a lot of tension and energy in my throat and in the hyoids specifically. And the gift that they gave me were my hands. And so I just held them in these areas that I was feeling this tension and pain and grief. And yeah, that was my gift.
Sarah.
Thank you.
And Jessica's came off mute, so I'm gonna see if Jessica wants to share as well.
Hi. Hey, everyone. Thank you, Robert. Thanks for that beautiful journey. I went into the journey and I have been navigating a core belief around sacrifice. And as I was at the fire, there was a very indigenous presence at the fire, felt like a Native American presence at the fire. And I was asking about the truth of this belief, and it was like confirmed. There was like a confirmation of the truth of sacrifice, of the truth of letting it all go, of the truth of surrendering. And it was really powerful. I just want to sit with that for a while, because there's been I'm like trying to look for space in that area around this belief. And there was a lot of darkness that happened. It was almost as if the fire went out that moment. And the presence handed me this magical match and said, you can use this match anytime to strike a light. So there was like a reclamation of light amidst a truth of, yes, like we are here to surrender everything. And so it was really, and I'm driving, so I'm just like driving and, it's so great. So, and I'm so happy to be here with everyone and so happy to be here with you, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess. So why are we talking about any of this stuff at all? Again, the world feels deeply uncertain and deeply complex, and it feels like it's becoming more complex and more uncertain. I had the pleasure of being with the Dalai Lama a few years ago, and he spoke in a small group of us with him, and he said these times have been written about in ancient Buddhist scriptures, and he said that there is just an inevitability about having to go through these times. But he says, but how we go through these times is our choice. And he said, we can go through these times with much deeper compassion for ourselves and for all beings. And we can go through these times with much less violence in our nations and in our, armies and in our personal lives. And he says, but in order to do that, we have to be well resourced, right? To be able to give our best, we're coming from our best. And that's what care is about. It's not about it's not really just about what the westernized dominant culture has made care about, which is kind of switching off from everything. But care is so much more about being resourced so we can be switched on to the world and to each other and to community, and to bring forward deep service and love. And so the nesting was a way to, even in that practice of nesting, you probably find yourself becoming just a little bit more resourced, because what's been unconsciously built up is now just down in a little tiny framework on a piece of paper. And you go, You put it into perspective and you kind of name it. It's like when I name that I'm afraid, that fear just changes, as opposed to when I just like feel it and don't speak it. So we nest so that we can have more self-awareness and then share that awareness with each other. And in that deeper awareness, we can have more compassion for ourselves and each other. But then we can also ask the really important questions like, well, what do I need then? As a result, based on this awareness, what do I need? And what am I going to do about that need? And we take action to serve ourselves and each other. And then to continue our capacity to be resourced beyond what's obvious, beyond all the obvious things and all the great people we have in our lives. But there's always this place that we can go to in ourselves. We can always go and sit around some sense of a fire and call in support from the unseen world that may show up as a very familiar presence or unfamiliar, in form or out of form. And that we can ask that presence to embrace us if that's what we need. We can ask that presence to give us guidance. We can ask that presence to love us. We can ask that presence to put our hand on our backs as we go into a hard board meeting. We can ask that presence to sit beside us in a fundraising call where we're nervous to ask for money. We can ask for that presence to be with us when we have to have a hard conversation with somebody on our team about their performance and we're worried about their reaction. That presence is baking for our participation. And because most of society has turned away from calling in that presence and that support, that presence is deeply available. You don't have to set up a calendar invite. It's ready to go. And it's in the trees, and it's in our ancestors, past and future. It's in the animal world. It's in the stones. It's in the mountains. It's all around us. It's in the space between all of those things. And that's the beautiful thing about our work and in these centers, is that we have full permission to talk about this and to lead from this place, to lead ourselves and to lead each other from this place. Because if we're not doing this, I can guarantee you Amazon and Google and Dell and everybody else are definitely not doing this. And this is one of the most unique things that the retreat centers and the retreat center collaborative can bring to the world. And we will deeply benefit from it ourselves as we do it. So that's why, and I hope it's been of somewhat value just to touch into these things. And thanks for taking some time out to hang out with me and do the things I love to do, at least. I'm going to pass it back to Michael to see if there's any wrap up and logistics about next steps and all those good things.
Oh, well, first, thanks, Robert, so much for leading us through this beautifully grounded, sacred, deepening time. And I just, I feel the energy. I feel the hands of the goodness on my back and ready to take me into this next moment of the weekend and the day. So just first a bow of gratitude to you for your time today. And I think all of us appreciate it. And those who had to sign off already are also going about something else in their day with this love and this care. So thank you very much. Friends, I just want to draw you back to membership, and that there's an opportunity to move into a paid membership if your center hasn't had the chance to think about that. I would love to talk to you. It helps make these kind of calls possible. And so you can reach out to me, and I put a link in the chat for that. And Tatiana, who's on the call with us today, is leading our next session, which is on Tuesday, February 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, supporting leaders with little or no HR. And so this is part of our Tea with Tatiana lunchtime series. So we hope you can be there for that. Also linked, that's the next upcoming event. And I will just let you know that email went around requesting nominations for our stewardship circle. And there was a slight problem with the form, which has been fixed. I believe we're going to extend the deadline for that a few days. So if you know someone that you think would be an amazing person to join the stewardship circle of the RCC, we'd love for you to nominate them so that we can add a few folks to our circle. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing day. we send you off with 10 extra minutes that weren't booked on your calendar. So maybe go take a breath outside or go what you need to do. But take care of yourself and see you soon.